in the last years. And we have guests coming from all over the world, from Australia to San Francisco, including a lot of guests from Latin America. So Ofri, if that's okay, I'll pass the ball back to you. And looking forward to meeting everyone here in the city soon.
Thank you, Omer. So I haven't said before, but we have also translation during this webinar, translation from English to Spanish. And also Ori from my team will send you via the chat group the email address of all of the trade attaches that working in Latin America and Spain, and you can contact them after the webinar if you would like to meet one of the presenting companies during the RSA or after or before. So now we will start with Salvador. Shireen Golan.
Yes, hi, thank you.
Hi, Shireen. So you can start.
Thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen. Nice to meet everyone, and thank you for taking your time to join us here. I hope you guys can see what's on. So just a little background. Our company is Salvador Technologies. We offer resiliency and recovery for OT solutions. And I'll explain a little bit how it works. But just to give you a little information beforehand. In our world today, there's a lot of ransomware attacks, as well as viruses, or even just critical malfunctions, especially in the OT field, that affect and cause a great loss. One such example is the ransomware attack that Toyota experienced a few years back. It estimated a loss of over $500 million. These numbers are exorbitant, and anyone in the OT environment knows this, is familiar with this, and understands the pain. At this point of time, when people are working in the OT field, should something happen, again, whether it be ransomware or a critical malfunction, then it takes a while to recover. It can take anywhere between 4 hours to a couple of weeks. And that time is critical. It stops, production, it costs a lot of money, whether it be in human resources, in raw material, and lack of production. These are some of the estimated costs, and they just keep getting bigger. They keep growing year by year, and we don't know where they'll reach, because obviously, the whole point is to make as much money as possible, and hackers love making lots and lots of money. A little bit about how it works. It is a full platform solution. It comes with the hardware device as well as a software that is either installed on the engineering station or agentless, which would mean that it's installed on the device, and it comes with a monitoring center. This is what actually happens in a plant right now should there be a ransomware attack. As you see, there's not much to be done. By the time you get to the run section where you continue working, again, like I said, it can take anywhere between 4 hours to a couple of weeks. The average downtime is estimated at 20 days at this point. And this is what would happen if you have Salvador. So let's say you get attacked, you start working, you stop working, you reboot, you restore from Salvador, you continue working throughout the whole process, and in the background, you restore and recover. This is the device itself, a little bit about how the technology actually works. What we do is we create three separate systems from which you can recover from. These systems are all air-gapped due to the technology that was invented at Salvador. At any given moment, should you have a critical issue in your system, you can reboot from any one of these drives and continue working. this is shorter than I thought. These are the vectors in which we work well in. We've been implemented in many companies throughout Europe as well as in the United States. So it would be anywhere between critical malfunction to maritime. This is where we sit best. And these are our founders, Alex and Oleg. Should you have any questions, you're more than welcome to contact us. You can go to our website and someone will be in touch. I hope that was informative and interesting to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Shireen. And now we will move to Mark Freeman from No Code Security. Hi, Mark.
Hi. So I'll just share from here. Okay. Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Mark Freeman from No Code Security. And what I'll do is I'll introduce No Code Security to you just now. So we are a security solution for low code, no code platforms and RPA platforms. So that is platforms like Microsoft Power Platform, UiPath, ServiceNow, any platform that has been designed to let people, non-developers, develop automations and applications without having to know how to code. So anyone listening to this can start to think about whether they have those platforms in their company. I'll give a few pointers about discovering if you do. So I would love a good takeaway from this is either if you are using these platforms, you're a little bit more aware of the risks. And if you're not, but you think you might be, that you're curious enough to go and have a look. So really what we're doing is securing these platforms, securing low code, no code activity, and allowing companies really to embrace these platforms, which are really business empowerers, without regrets. At the moment, there's two main methods. Either companies have opened it up without really being aware of the risks, and it's a wild west and they've got very few controls, or they've shut it completely down because they're too scared and they realize there's no controls and they don't know of a good, efficient way to manage it. What we want to do is to allow companies to open up as wildly as possible, but to do it securely. Just in terms of our founders, both Yair and Amichai are serial entrepreneurs. Yair founded SecureTouch, which was acquired by Ping. Amichai founded Imperva. I'm sure many of you are using or have used Imperva's products, our CEO and CTO. But let's talk a little bit about these platforms. So Gartner estimated that 5 years ago, 25% of new applications were being developed using low code, no code. They estimated that by now it's up to 70%. We see a massive uptake of the use of these platforms by companies across a wide spread of verticals with almost no security. And this is the gap that we've identified, because on one hand, the uptake is massive. On the other hand, the security controls are non-existent. And the problem is that these platforms have been designed for easy access to let someone from your factory, someone from HR, someone from finance have access to automations, have access to applications. But the problem is that means that you have application development, automation development going to production without any sort of process, definitely without any SDLC. If you think about your developers, when they develop code, even if they don't think about security, even if they don't like security, they still have to go through various steps that mean that by the time the code goes to production, it's been checked and it's been verified. On these platforms, you've got automations applications going to production without any sort of supervision, without any sort of security check. And the reason that is because there's really no platforms that give governance, security, or remediation for these platforms. This is an example for Microsoft Power Platform, which is one of the most common platforms. These platforms also make it very hard for you to have visibility into who's using it and how often they're using it. This is very common, that there's a massive underestimation between what companies think they have versus what they really have. So the real example from a client we connected to recently, They thought they had a few dozen environments, a few hundred apps and flows, and a few thousand users. In reality, they had 1,800 environments, 30,000 apps and flows, and 180,000 users. Big surprise for everyone. But one of the main reasons behind this is because they thought they only had a few new apps being developed each month, meaning just a few users monthly. But in reality, they had 200 new apps being developed each week, which meant hundreds of people were using this platform weekly. And that is just how it sprawls from tens of assets to hundreds of assets to thousands to tens of thousands of assets. So again, if you're a Microsoft shop, it's very likely that you are using Microsoft Power Platform, mainly because it's included in the license. So unless you've shut it down, your employees have access to it. And once they realize that it can make their lives better, they really go for it. So this is just, again, to explain the gap. I'm sure that all of you are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars securing your coded software. And I'm sure you're using some of these vendors. Low-code, no-code software has exactly the same needs, and I'm sure you're spending $0 on securing it at the moment. What we aim to do is to give core AppSec coverage to the thousands of applications that are currently not covered in your company. We can talk a last slide just to talk a little bit about how we see the risk. So we integrate, scan via API, scan your environments in terms of reducing the risk, give you that first visibility. So that's policy, that's user inventory, application inventory, data inventory. But we are a security company and we're looking for specific security vulnerabilities. All of these are common, but also exist in low-code, no-code. Some of the most interesting ones are around data exposure. Someone from HR develops an automation in order to manage employee birthdays, pulls in sensitive data, connects it to an unverified connector, connects it to their personal email. And because everything's happening inside the environment, then you basically can bypass any DLP controls you have. A second interesting one is vulnerability to injection attacks caused by a misconception that even though it's a mess, it's all internal. But if you do a bit of digging, we see that around 15% of all applications and flows will have some sort of external facing element. Someone from customer success has developed a form and a flow in order to receive customer complaints, leaves open to injection attacks, and among others, hard-coded secret management and the other ones you can see here. So again, I hope this has sparked your curiosity to have a look in your companies to see if you're using Microsoft Power Platform, UiPath, ServiceNow. If you are and you're interested in continuing this chat, you can reach out to me either at nocodesecurity.com or at mark@nocodesecurity.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Moving forward to our next company, Henderson Santana from Big ID. Hi, Henderson.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining. Let me share my presentation. Here we go. Let's start it. Okay, so let's talk about Big ID. Big ID is a company that is present globally, especially in Latin America. We have operation since 2021. Our operation across all Latin America has more than 100 customers, top enterprise customers. And our company helps customers to basically know your data and control your data. Our platform will help the customers to achieve security, compliance, privacy, and governance. And we understand at the center of all challenges, the most of the company's challenges and macro challenges in the economy is based on, we are seeing an exploding regulation, data regulation a lot. We can see that in different countries, especially on privacy regulation is coming and rising on different countries in the region. We're seeing data security breaches and everything around that. Companies moving to a cloud or programs to cloud acceleration, and companies starting to talk about AI and data governance. But at the end, what the customers really know about the data is very, very low, right? So as we dive into the company and start looking, what is our data? We see that we have all kind of data, different data, metadata, customer data, PCI data, whole bunch of data that's very difficult to control. And as we see as well, more data is more volume is every day. We see more volume of data. We see different kind of databases being in the cloud, large volumes of data moving. We see how we are collecting data, generate data, and the other hand, different types of data. And behind in all that summary is we see vulnerability across all this data being captured and generated rising. So at the end, it's very complicated to the companies to classify or categorize those data and even have a context on this data. So what is Big ID? Big ID delivers a platform where the company basically, as I mentioned, could find, map, catalog their data. So basically, we have a platform in 4 layers. Big ID can be used on premises, on SaaS, as a SaaS services on your environment. So basically, those 4 layers. It is the first layer. We can connect in basically everything that you have that process or store data. Or structured data, no structured data, everything that your company, your cloud, SaaS services, everything that today's in the modern world as storage data or process data we can connect. We have a vast of connectors that could connect and everything. And then we have a layer where we apply what it is a modern technologies of AI, machine learning to understand and know the data. And after that, we apply a layer where we can find and the risks on all your data and do all the process management on this risk that you find on the data. And after that, we have a marketplace where we can operationalize all the operations for the security team, for the governance team, for the privacy team. And just give more details about all those 4 layers. In the first layer, we can connect from mainframe to unstructured data, Office 365, big data, clouds, all these SaaS services from Salesforce, ACP, and everything, ERPs and everything we can connect. And then we call it the 4 Cs. They know your data. We do the modern classification technologies that developed by Big ID. We are one of the best classification tools in the markets that can go just from structure, basically everything that is data we can connect. We do cluster analysis, we do correlation to find and correlate personal data to the person without having. So imagine how many personal data that you have. We can correlate all those data in different layers, different platforms, different types of data. And then we have, when we delivered all this in a big metadata catalog that could be integrated with all our governance tools. And then talking about the layer that I mentioned about the DSPM, that security process management, we do all the cycle. You find the risk, you look for the retention risk that you have in your data and files, your sharing risk, your files that overexposed, risk that you find there's anomaly risks. If you have duplicate data, AI risk, so you are feeding your language models, you're gonna feed with the right data without exposing too much data or sensitive data and access risk and everything. And you have all this framework in the last layer that we have apps on the top of that you can automate those privacy requirements. So we have from imagine that all your privacy program we can do with Big ID from the reports that you have generated, all the customers, your desire data subject access requests. We can automate everything. On the security apps, we can find and create policies for retention, remediation in your files, in your databases, and everything. And then we have different integrations with the leader vendors on the industry that we can feed with this highly classification tool that we have as the core and foundation of the big ID. And at the end, talking about some very important topic that most of the companies are looking for is how we can help the companies moving to AI programming. So we have some questions that the company always asking, okay, I'm gonna feed those language models, how we're gonna feed, how we're gonna keep the security, how we're gonna keep the privacy. Big ID can work in the workflow of all this process and help customers to have language models or AI programs with privacy and security on the top of that. And for the last, we can integrate Big ID with all the security ecosystems. If you have, for example, DLP solutions, we can do all the classification, all the labeling to be those applications to be more effective. Risk solutions. And the other side, if you have governance applications, governance tools, we can feed them with Big ID. So basically, this is what we have. If you get some interest on Big ID, you have a lot of user cases in different industries, different user cases we can share with all of you. So thank you for joining.
Thank you, Anderson. Moving forward, we are with the Sasa Software and Oren David. Oren, the floor is yours.
Hi. Thank you. Just let me share my screen. Give me a second. Can I just share a window? No. Okay, hold on. I'm sorry, just 1 second. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, hold on. Sorry about that. Hold on. I'm sorry, give me 1 second. Sorry about that. All right, try it again.
Oren would like to share your presentation.
No, just give me 1 second. I don't know why it's not doing it, but if you give me 1 sec. Okay, I think I got it. Can you see it now? No?
No, not yet.
All right. Yeah, can you share my presentation? I don't want to lose too much time.
Of course. 1 second.
So about that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. So thanks for taking care of that. Buenos dias, everyone. I'm Oren David from Sasa Software. We are a cybersecurity company that focuses on content, disarm, and reconstruction. which is used to prevent file-based malware. Next. Next slide. Okay. The company was founded in 2013 as a spin-off from a defense contractor that was working with the U.S. Department of Defense to provide armored vehicles for deployment of troops in Iraq and Afghanistan, and took this the solution that they've developed for this for the Department of Defense to make it SASA software. We focus again on file-based malware using content, disarm, and reconstruction. And today we have over 500 customers across the globe, all enterprises, government agencies, etc. We are ISO certified. I've been recognized by Gartner and other organizations. Next slide. Some of our customers, this is obviously a very small list, range from government agencies across the world on the left, financial institutions for the right, energy companies, manufacturers, defense contractors, etc., and transportation. Next. So the interesting thing that we are facing is if you look at this this evaluation done by Mitre back in 2022, they evaluated the different solutions in cybersecurity to detect malware. And if you look at all the way at the right, on the right side, and these are the top companies that they've evaluated. If you look at the right side in the green box, you'll see that the detection rate for all these solutions was very high, 98%, even 100% for some. But when you look at the prevention rate, their ability not just to detect malware, but to actually prevent it, drops considerably, 80, 87, 88%, etc. That's a big gap, over 10% gap between detection and the ability to prevent malware. Next. Additionally, we know that most attacks today happen through the regular attack vectors, regular channels, I should say, whether it's FTP, email, downloads, etc. And most of the attacks are through file-based malware. So all these present challenges that we address. Next slide. Our solution is again called Content Disarm and Reconstruction. And this is a technical slide for those who are interested in what happens really under the hood in our solution. If we go from left to right, the solution takes every file and every email and deconstructs it to its core elements. So for example, if you get a zip file or a RAR file, we don't scan the file as a whole. We deconstruct it and take out, take out all the files out so that we can scan each file individually. And if we have a file with embedded elements such as images, we take those images out as well to scan each one individually. That gives us the ability to do a deep threat scan, which is very different than traditional solutions. But each of those core elements is scanned by true type engines, by multiple AV engines. These are signature-based commercial AV engines and a next generation engine. In addition, we use Gate Scanner Analyzer, which can scan binary files by decompiling them. So all these solutions, all these engines are run on each and every component of those files that we deconstructed. And just by doing that, just by the deconstruction and the multi-scan, we achieve a very, very high level of security. However, we say that security may not be enough. So there's an optional next step. And that next step is to remove any scripts, macros, any known active content that is in the file, because maybe there is a zero-day attack embedded in those active content, in that active content, that we just didn't identify, even with all our scanning. So that brings us to a higher level of security. But to get to the ultimate level of security, where we actually prevent malware, even if it's a zero-day attack, even if it's an undetectable attack, what we do is we make internal structural changes to the file. We actually change the hash of the file, making changes such that they break any potential active content or malicious content in the file. But the beauty of the technology is that we maintain the file's integrity and usability. So if it's, for example, a Word document, it still has the same content, still the same formatting, you can still edit it. If it's an image file, it looks like the image before it was reconstructed, but it's also malware free. Now we are at the ultimate level of security, but we have a file that's been deconstructed earlier. So now all we have to do is put it back together again and pass it on to the user. That is the core of the technology that supports all our solutions. Next slide. The solutions I mentioned include the kiosk, going from left to right, kiosk for portable media, very common in OT environments. And then we have mail for email security, integration server or an API, security dome, which is a secure managed file transfer solution, imaging gateway for healthcare, and multi-source for network segmentation. Next slide, please. So some of the solutions we've implemented already in LATAM, so I'm going to speak about them a little bit more. Next slide. So the kiosk is one of our biggest seller and has been successful in LATAM as well. The kiosk is used to scan portable media before it goes into your network, mostly into OT networks, but it could also be, but it's also used in IT networks as well. It can scan and reconstruct and process do the whole CDR process in this one appliance on hundreds of file types. It's a hardened appliance that's based on a hardened operating system and BIOS that can't be broken into, and allows you to bring files from portable media into your secure network, whether it's OT or IT. Very common in energy companies, in any critical infrastructure type of companies, defense contractors, etc. Next slide. In many of these kiosk installations, it's not just one or two kiosks. It can be dozens or hundreds. We have customers with 200, 400, 500 kiosks spread across very wide geographical areas. For example, all across the US, we have one customer that has them spread in different countries around the world. Everything on the kiosks is managed from a single pane of glass through this management and monitoring console that allows us to reconfigure, update, get status, get logs, everything about those kiosks from this single management solution. The system administrator doesn't have to go to the kiosk at all, no matter where it is. Next slide. Another common solution that's been implemented in LATAM already is Security Dome. Security Dome, again, is a secure managed file transfer solution that can be deployed in your on-prem or in your private cloud or public cloud, which allows the user to upload files to Security Dome. Those files will undergo the same CDR process I mentioned before, and then can be either stored in Dome, passed on to other users, or automatically transferred to other environments that you have through protocols such as FTPS, etc. This is a very commonly used product with many add-ons, which I don't have time to get into right now. Next slide. And I mentioned the email solution. Our mail, everyone probably has an email security solution. But what we do that's different is that, again, we actually deconstruct those emails. So an email comes in, we don't treat it as we don't scan it as an email. We deconstruct it. We look at the header, the body of the email, any embedded image, any attachment. Those are all broken down into separate files and scanned independently and individually for a very high level of security. In addition, we have some nice features, including the ability to scan password protected attachments. That is something that is truly unique, and most CISOs are struggle with this issue of what to do with password protected attachments. We have a solution for that with our email, GateScanner email. So some current projects that we have out there in LATAM, we work with, if you're familiar with Grupo Salinas in Mexico, we're working with ICL in Brazil, and we're currently working on some opportunities in Chile, Argentina, and Uruguay. And we're hoping to work together on many more opportunities with you in 2025. Next slide. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Oren. Thank you. 1 second. We will stop the sharing. Okay, so our next in line is Michelle from Ciberseguridad. Michelle?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me here today, and nice to meet you all. Let me just share my screen, and we'll get into it. 1 second. Perfect. So, Ciberseguridad. Ciberseguridad is a company that established 3 years ago, or something like that, who basically were one of the first zero trust browsers in the industry. And we are working globally in a lot of different locations, from Europe to LATAM to the United States, etc. And I will share a little bit more about what is Surf, what is enterprise browser, and we'll take you through this journey that why we created it at all. Just a second. So the browser basically is the epicenter of enterprise risk. We go to phishing websites, is in the browser. We click on links in the browser. Even when we click on emails within our email client on the endpoint, it leads us to the browser. Basically, 80% of the work today, maybe even a little bit more, and it's shifting even more and more because everything becoming more cloud-based, is in the browser. And all the risk coming from there. So if you click on the link and there is a drive-by download and there is some kind of JavaScript injections, everything basically is inside the browser. In the last 10 years, we identified this risk in the companies, and we started to put some agents, maybe more actually. It's with Checkpoint Firewall. It's been probably more than 25 years already. And we identified that potentially this becoming a big risk, and we start to deploy proxies with gateways, VDI replacement for VDIs from when people are coming from as a remote employees and trying to access DNS security, may relay DLP engines, and so on and so on. And we came to a situation where some companies has 21 agents on the endpoint to just protect the browser. So this is where it all started. We saw also that endpoint security controls, they don't have enough visibility into the browser. They don't see the interaction of the user with the clicks. They only interfere most of the time when the download already happened, when we are already access the phishing website or the link itself. And then again, it's not a native solution. It usually comes as an extension, and it has very, very limited capability. So if we look back, we started, as I said, with firewalls. Then a new generation came in, and it was the SASE, the Zscalers, and the Netscope that also work on the network. And it's a lot of money, it's complexity to maintain, and it's basically a rule set base that you need to be super familiar to manage to kind of configure it and maintain a nice rule-based policy that will control all the hits of the users that coming in. And then we call ourselves SASE browser, the cell generation of kind of network/endpoint security to protect the browser. We see that we consolidated and we created this solution to kind of consolidate the security stack into one powerful point. So we created firstly the browser itself, that it's Chromium-based browser that has capabilities of DLP, browser isolation, extension management, zero trust network access, malware detection, phishing protection, shadow IT protection, and all in this one too. And we started from the browser because we wanted to support third-party contractors, wanted to support remote users that coming in, and this basically style of work is only growing and growing. Hybrid module is here to stay, and we are hiring third-party contractors on daily basis in most of the organization. And the fact of the matter is that we actually moving to the cloud, if not already, the new companies are kind of 100% in the cloud. Also, the giants, the enterprises are moving into the cloud quite fast. So we created the browser that has all this control inside, from Gen AI that we can see here. You can see that we can actually see prompts that the user sent. We will alert you on a specific behavior that you can control from the alerts dashboard that we have, and you can push everything to the SIEM. Every interaction of the user with the browser, we can actually see here inside our security solution. We will block on web filtering. We can remove the dependency on the proxy web filtering, dependency on just doing it on the network layer, because we making the endpoint smart. We will authenticate the user to the session, and then all the policies will be downloaded to the endpoint and cached in the memory of the user's endpoint. But it will be contained like as if it was on a different device, but within his own device on the endpoint, without dependency on the network and on things like that. Second, yep. So in the latest GigaOM report, Self was a leader in the industry. So it was very, very promising, and they basically said that by the end of 2027, 80% of the enterprises will either use extension or enterprise browser to kind of protect their forces when they're accessing work. Second, yeah. So lately, we introduced another solution within our browser that is very, very important, and we call it deep water, and basically it's deep fake detection. There is a lot of risks that come in with AI from containing our data, and users are sending the data into the AI, Gen AI tools like ChatGPT and Gemini and many others. But it's not the only risk that AI can generate, because we saw that there is a massive shift in using of a deep fake. And then we can just take a photo of someone, and there was an event in, I think, Singapore or Hong Kong, that the company lost $25 million because the CFO was on a Zoom call, but it wasn't actually the CFO of the company, it was a deep fake. And the CFO basically agreed to do a transaction of $25 million because it wasn't actually the CFO, but it was a deep fake of the fraud guys that basically planned it. So within the browser, we have a solution that we will record 4 seconds of that person, of the voice of the person, whether it's on a Zoom meeting within the browser, whether it's a video, and we will identify that. So this is another solution. How does it work? So basically, the user who comes to the browser, authenticates to the identity provider, will perform device posture scanning. So we will be in a minimum compliant that the user has to access the resources. We will check for registry key, antivirus, file exist, disk encryption, and others. And only then when we will have the isolation and sandboxing, we will allow the user to access to the company resources. And then we can define a policy. Do we want to watermark the screen? Do we want to copy and paste? Do we want to allow copy and paste in certain applications? Will we allow printing? Will we allow screen capture? We can control downloads and uploads based on, let's say, Microsoft Purview and the classifications, whether it's classified or it's a secretive information, you cannot download or upload it to certain web pages. We have a risk score based on risk score, add-ons and extension management. So we can define a policy that will say, hey, you can only allow to install low risk extension. Anything that medium and high as an extension will be automatically blocked within the browser. Malware and ransomware protection, personal information masking, whether it's for like HIPAA controls, healthcare, etc. We can mask all the information. We have SSH and RDP directly from the browser, so we can actually remove completely the dependency in VPNs and in any other zero trust solution potentially to open the tunnel. Web filtering, again, without sitting on the network and on the proxy, all built in into our solution. And of course, spam inside. Let's go back. Some use cases. Let's talk about some of the use cases. So the most popular use case for us is a secure third-party contractors and bring your own device. If you want to allow your users to access it without controlling and maintaining VDI infrastructure, a lot of remote dashboards, etc. This is the super smooth solution. Just click on the button, download the browser, authenticate, and you're inside this work environment. It's super fast. We will automatically integrate with your identity provider, and then you can integrate Scheme or OIDC or SAML and push the users inside the environment, and that's it. You don't need to do anything more complex than that. We support a lot of customers in the compliance space because we have a phishing protection solution, extension management solution, download and upload prevention, and of course, web filtering built into the browser itself. And that's a very fast stick to maintain compliance. We don't need to install only the browser. Self provides also on managed devices an extension that can do everything that the browser can do, but we only recommend it on managed devices because if it's not on managed devices and the user is an admin on the endpoint, it will basically could be bypassable when the browser cannot. Call centers and so on and so on. We have a lot of different use cases. We have already over 60 customers globally, and we only started not very long ago with customers in Latam like Grupo Salinas and big other enterprises. We also an Okta company. So Okta basically invested in us, and we are very close in the ecosystem with identity because identity and browser is just working together very closely. But of course, we support all the IDPs, Entra ID, Ping Identity, and others. And the last is if you want to see some capabilities, as I said already, we can isolate the wonky environment, zero-day vulnerabilities that we enhanced again. We can protect the browser extensions and control them. Visibility into the browser. We can actually record the screen if it's something that the customer wants. We can monitor how users are working from productivity perspective, whether the user is actually using the browser or they are on break all day. We can record WebRTC within the browser. Imagine you have a secure support organizations and they need to basically work and get a support calls, and maybe a lot of PII data or personal information is there, so you can monitor and you can control and you can hear actually what's being said and how your users are reacting. So this is about Surf. We have a lot of more information, but I won't take more of your time. You can find us on self.security. You can reach out to me, Michelle, on LinkedIn, and we can definitely set up a demo and talk together. Thank you very much for that, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Michelle. And now moving to transmit security with David Navarro. David?
Hi, hello, good morning, buenos días, bon dia a todos. Thank you for having me here. So let me start sharing my presentation here and put it on. Can you all see my presentation? I think that is a yes, right? So yeah, so let me start. So transmit security. So my slide deck is in Spanish, but I'm going to do the presentation in English.
כן, אבל מפריע לי שזה בספרדית, המצגת שלהם.
Okay. Can you please mute? Okay, so let's so here, transmit security, it's we are here, I mean, as a company, the problem we are trying to solve is the fusion between identity management and fraud prevention. So just a bit about us as a company. So Transmit was launched back in 2016, so almost 10 years now, founded by two serious entrepreneurs, Miki Budey and Rakesh Lunkar. We are protecting as today more than 1 billion identities. And when I'm talking about identities, I'm talking about, customer identities. So the identities of the customer of our customers. We have, a lot of customers that you can see, some of the biggest brands in the world, like UBS, Citi, HSBC, Santander. We have, a lot of customers in Latam, including Spain, like El Corte Inglés, Banco Popular, and many others. And we're super proud that back in 2021 we were able to we're the one with the biggest Series A funding round back in 2021, which was $543 million. So just as a bit of a context of the problem we are solving, it's over the last decade, so more than 10 years, the internet adoption in LATAM has gone up from 43% up to 78%, with countries like Chile reaching 90%, which is even higher than other countries like China. Also, the number of digital users in Latin America in the last couple of years is going up and up and up, moving from 200 million in 2010 up to almost 500 million in 2021, with big countries like Brazil and Mexico on the top 10 of the ranking, with the country with the highest digital population. And another important fact is that 73% of the adult population in LATAM already has a banking account. And that is something very important because, in the past, the bancarization rate in Latin America used to be very low, but based on, new players like, the fintechs and neobanks and wallets, and also, the most traditional financial institution offering services to non-bancarized people. So now, again, so around 73% of the population has access of a bank account. What is our mission and vision is to eliminate the gap or the bridge between user experience and fraud prevention. So I remember, when I started working in this area, it was like a saying, right? Like an assumption, probably saying, so if you want to have a great user experience, security has to be bad or not perfect. And if you want to create a super great and secure system, user experience will be bad. So in Transmit, we don't think that that is valid anymore. And we have now the technology to provide, great user experience for the end users with a super secure solution and providing, the fraud prevention that your customers need. And this is like a view of, what happened when we are talking about the digital identities of our customers. So think about your customers, like in the center of your company. They are accessing, different services your company is providing, both on digital channel or in more traditional physical channel, right? It could be a retail or a branch. It could be the call center, the mobile web, an ATM, kiosk, whatever. And this is the standard user journey for any of your customers, right? Starting on the how to open an account, how to onboard a customer. Then when we have the customer already on board with us, what we want is, I mean, to then, to log in as much as they possible, because, more logins means more transaction, which is basically, or your end goal as a customer. So as a company is to your user interact and transact a lot with the different systems you're providing. Then, it will be a process of, the how to update, their account or their profile, the information they are sharing with us, the information they want to share, how the customer want to, you as a company, treat and manage the information they're sharing with us, and eventually at the end, how to recover the account when they forget the password, the username, or whatever other information they provide to you. So the way that, and this is the problem with, with legacy identities. So the way that we've been managing identities over the last probably 20 years is on a silo way of doing things, right? And why is that? Because if you think on the front end, the different channels and applications you're exposing to your customers, not all of them just were created or appears at the day one. So think that, any of your customers start doing business with your customers on a more traditional physical way, right? The brands, then you move, to contact center, then it could be the web, then the mobile, and now more recently, it could be a chatbot or an AI assistant or any, LLM system. And think about, the backend. Any company already has different backend technologies, from the user store, the authorization systems, different authentications, different fraud and risk prevention, and different compliance solutions. So with that situation, the front end and the back end, what has happened mainly is we are connecting point to point different solutions. So we are connecting different identity flows on either the mobile app, your web app, or any other channel with different backend technologies. That results on what we used to call the spaghetti code, which basically you are trying to, every time you need to change the customer experience, either because a business requirement or a security incident, and you need to change the way your customers are accessing your system, you need to kind of decompose of what is happening there, trying to understand how the application is connected with the different backend system. And by changing the code on the application, you change the customer experience. So that is super time consuming. It costs, a lot of money, and it's super, super hard, to provide a consistent experience, to all your customers. So what Transmit is offering is a low-code, no-code customer identity and access management platform covering, all your customer life cycle from prospecting, onboarding to the end transaction. So the Transmit platform, which it's called Mosaic, has, different layers, different modules, different options that you don't need to implement all of them, but it works, like a solution to cover any use cases from the beginning to the end of the customer interacting with your services. So let me start briefly with the orchestration. So the orchestration layer is the place where you can create all this customer experience on authentication, authorization, or digital onboarding on a low-code, no-code approach. So you don't need any more to change the code in your application when you want to change the customer experience. So is that, with a drag and drop experience, you can create the user flow and, or integration layer, which you can see on the top of the slide, will talk, with the different backend solutions you have, and you can create different user experience from different customers. So let me give you an example. So let's say that you have customer accessing with different authentication methods, and one of them is compromised for whatever reason. It could be a biometric authenticator, or it can be, the username and password, and you want to change the way that customers using that particular authenticators will log in into your system. So you don't want to change, the way that the other customers not affected by that security breach have access to your platform. So you only want to do it for those that are really, actually affected. So with the orchestration layer on the platform, you can easily identify and understand which customers are using that authenticator or that particular whatever, operating system, device type, version, whatever, and you can isolate them, create on a low-code, no-code view the new login experience you want to provide them and enforce it. So in real customer experiences we have, the amount of time needed doing the old way, like, changing the application, it can easily be like weeks, in some cases even months. With Mosaic platform, you can do it in minutes. So imagine when you're exposed on a security incident and you don't need to wait weeks and you can change, your customer experience in just minutes. Other modules on the platform is, the detection and response, which is the transmit fraud detection system, very focused on the identity and not that much on the transaction. So usually over the last 10 or 15 or maybe 20 years, we used to put the anti-fraud system at the end of the journey. So when the fraudster is super close to commit the fraud or to have access to the money, or if it's a retailer, to perform, buy something. Our approach is that if you move the security controls closer to the front door and prevent, the identity fraud, which by the way, it's probably like 75% of the fraud starting as an identity fraud. So you can reduce your fraud level massively, and you can free up other resources like your fraud analysts who need to take care only of the real, fraud cases not related with identity. We also provide, some identity verification system where, you can for an onboarding process, you can verify the identity of your customer. We do, the ID validation and also, the selfie analysis. We can compare everything and provide with 100% assurance that the customer is whoever is saying he is. And also, different authentication methods like, username, password, passkeys, whatever user authentication method you want to use with your customers. Here you can see, some of the more frequent use cases that you can solve with the Transmit Mosaic platform, from identity verification, how to manage, different authentication methods, and how you can change the different authentication based on the risk of a specific transaction. As I said before, account opening and onboarding, consent management, centralized identity, account takeover, omni-channel. I'm more than happy that talk to any of you more in depth about any of these use cases. But we are also super proud that Forrester recently released the first independent analyst study based on SIAM. So traditionally, some analysts are talking about traditional IAM, more focused on workforce and employees' identities. And this is the first time that there is a report on customer identity and access management. We are super proud that we've been named as leader on the identity platform. And as you can see on the Forrester Wave, the double halo means that our solution, it's a customer favorite. So super proud about this milestone we've just achieved. And finally, 2 minutes just to share with you, we'll be present at the RSA conference. Will be located at the Contemporary Jewish Museum. It's like a 5-minute walking from from the RSA venue on the in San Francisco. So you are all invited to become a VIP and the on the Trust Me security exhibit hall we'll have in the museum. So no need for presentation, no need for sales pitch. So if you want to spend some time with us, just having a coffee, or you need to take a call, or you need to do some email, or you need just to rely, from the super crowd and entire RSA, you can just go to this link, register for a VIP access, and we'll be more than happy to have you there and attend and talking to you. So that's all my presentation. So back to you. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, David. Next, we have Joshua from Cytactic. Josh, are you here? Almog from Cielo, have you already represented?
Hey guys. Hello.
Okay, so we're just waiting for Josh.
Would you like Almog to present now? Or would you
We're
like
just
to?
trying to figure out how to share with Josh. Just a minute.
Okay.
Hey guys, so due to a technical challenge with the last representative, he won't be able to join us. But what we will do, we will send everyone his presentation and we will coordinate meetings with him for everyone who might be interested. Just for you to know, the last company called Cytactic, they have some sort of a platform for managing crisis management during the crisis. The platform is very wide, from the legal aspect to the negotiation aspect, and also the marketing aspect of the crisis. And we will send you all of the data. So thank you for joining us. We will send you the final email, and we would love to see you in our next event during RSA. The event will take place on the 28th of April. We will host a whole day of meetings and networking just across the road from the Moscone Center. And if you have any other question, you may contact us via the emails that we sent on the chat, and also the email that we will send to conclude this webinar. So thanks a lot, and we will stay in contact. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I think that we have one more presentation, as far as I remember. Sorry for the mix-up.
Almog from Sayolo?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry, we totally miss you guys. So Sayolo, you want to present, Ona?
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry.
Okay,
So you can start. You can start.
I will. I just put my screen on. I hope that most of you are still here. My name is Almog. I'm one of the founders and the CEO of Sayolo. What we do in Sayolo, we provide secure remote privileged access solution. And I am a recovering CISO. I'm coming from the other side. I was a security leader in global corporates, and prior to that, I was in charge of the cyber unit of the Israeli Navy. So I want to start with a short story, maybe. And this kind of stories are always happening in Thursday or one day before the weekend. So one of the employees in the company that I was their CISO was connected with VPN to one of the labs, which we consider as critical infrastructure. While connected with VPN, this user pressed on the wrong link and infected the organizational filer with ransomware, so 80,000 files in the organizational file system were encrypted. And the main reason for that is the access solution that this user was using. With VPN, you provide network access, and every malware or malicious code can run and get access to everything that he can get access network-wise to. So what I'm going to talk about today is how to provide access to critical environments and what are the things that needs to be done. Before I'm starting, just a few words about the company. So we launched the company in the middle of COVID, basically at March 20, a bit before the world flipped upside down with COVID. We raised 85 million to date, and you can see our investors in 3 different funding rounds. And the reason that we built the company was built by security practitioners like myself to provide organizations with better security, better operational agility, and better user experience. So since 2020 that we launched the company, we basically deployed our solution in multiple industries. You can see Mondelez, 3M, Volvo, and Data for manufacturing, for example. Honeywell International for critical infrastructure, as an example. Tech, So we have Mobileye and others, and you can also see few of our customers in Latin America here in the chat, in this slide. Okay. What we do in Ciolo. So we basically deal with the riskiest access scenarios, which means that we are focused on 10% of the access that carry 90% of the risk. Okay, so it's not all the remote access. The places that we shine and provide the biggest value are the places that you do need to connect people remotely, and the potential of damage can be huge. So at the very basic level, what we're doing, we provide basically we connect verified identities to applications with continuous authorization at layer 7, at the application layer, instead of connecting people to networks, basically. And we're doing it starting from our customers' biggest risks. Okay, so maybe I can share one of the examples. The biggest CPG or chocolate company basically in the world is using Ciolo across 150 sites to connect third parties and employees to the manufacturing floor to manufacture their chocolate. Okay, and because we are dealing with not any remote access, we are dealing with remote access to sensitive and critical environments. There are additional controls that we need to put on top of the access. So the access should be zero trust access for users and devices, but we also need to make sure that we know who is the identity behind the access, not the user. Because in some cases, we meet customers and we hear that they had some kind of an incident, and apparently it's user 1 or admin 1 or operator 1, and they don't know who it is. So with us, our customers know exactly who's the user behind the access and who's the identity behind the access. And we are providing multi-factor authentication and single sign-on, including the last mile, including systems that are not supporting SAML, basically. We have a vault and PAM capabilities as part of the solution, because in risky access, you want to record the session in some cases. And you want to provide real-time session supervision when someone is accessing and someone else is looking at the session in real time to see that everything is done according to what was agreed, basically. Secure file transfer, super important. When you think about this very basic use case of third-party access or vendor access, so at the very basic need, you need to provide access for break fix. Okay, and in order to do so, you need to allow your users to upload executables and download logs. So we are providing secure file transfer as part of the solution. And one of the things that we see quite a lot in more and more customers is this phenomena. COVID came, a lot of organizations had to open up to keep the business running. They had to route their VPN to critical environments like OT and labs. And down the road, they understood that they need to add additional controls on top of it. They need to record the session, they need MFA for the last mile, they need file transfer capabilities, they need a lot of special capabilities to make sure that this access is being mitigated. So eventually they found themselves with 8-9 different systems that they need to deploy, maintain, and integrate, and it creates a huge operational pain. So what we're doing, basically, we provide everything for one solution that is providing all the needed capabilities in order to mitigate risky access. Okay? Everything that we're doing is to provide our customers with better security, with better operational agility, and better productivity. In one of the solutions that we replaced to Fortune 10 company, so we replaced a solution that was deployed for 5 years, and the adoption level was less than 20%. One of the reasons was when a user had to connect, he had to provide 7 logins in order to connect to a specific asset. So As you guys can imagine, a lot of users were bypassing the solution. So security must come together with great user experience and great operational agility. And this is why we built this company, in order to provide organizations with not only better security, but also better productivity to their end users and the ability to do things in an easy way, basically. Specifically in OT, there are special things that everyone knows that we need to address. In OT and in manufacturing environments, safety is key. There are a lot of legacy systems that needs to be supported with, custom users like operator one and user one and things like that, that you have limited capabilities in aspects of visibility and control. A lot of third parties are involved in OT, and a lot of organizations are pretty much at their beginning in their digitalization journey. So we need to deal with some legacy systems as well. But on the other hand, there is extensive regulation on access and monitoring. And as you guys know, the human factor is something that is important in any security standard and audit. How we're different. So we're different in so many ways, but the three main things are the following things. First of all, we built a decentralized access solution with central management, and we can serve any existing environment without the need to replace the existing access solution. So it's really easy to test COLO. It's really easy to deploy COLO. And I did VPN replacement projects twice in my career. It's always frightening that you need to cut the cord at specific date because you need to complete, user training, help desk training, to deploy agents, to put a lot of infrastructure in routing, in order to make it happen. So with us, there's no need to cut the cord. We can coexist with any other access solution, and we can basically cover any existing environment, and I'm going to touch it in the next slide. We bring identity into the last mile, into very legacy environments, into the Purdue model as well. And the solution is providing the lowest cost of change. And just maybe a short story to share with you. As I told you, I'm a recovering CISO, and I met a lot of vendors. I met a lot of startups during my career. And one of the things that I became a little bit allergic to is all of these startups that came to me and said, hey, the world out there has changed, and you just need to do one very small thing in order to work with us, but you need to do this change anyway because we are the future. You need to change your existing environment to work with us. And I felt so misunderstood because every security practitioner in the world knows that change management is the biggest enemy of security. So it's really important for us to create a secure access platform that is decentralized and can address not only cloud-connected environments, but also cloud-averse and offline environments, and also to provide the ability to move between one setup to the other with few clicks without changing anything. So this is the reason that the biggest automation vendor in the planet picked us over all the vendors that you can see at the bottom of this slide. And if I'll have to summarize it, it's mainly because of the flexibility of the solution. And as you can see here, what this vendor said, this is the most flexible solution that can address and solve our customers' problems wherever they are in their cloud journey, because of our technology and architecture. And these are the outcomes. We are modernizing security. We are providing additional safety to the production floor. We are providing increased productivity to the end users. And this is actually interesting because, again, as a security practitioner, we get used to think that, if we're improving security, we're going to pay with operational pain or user experience pain. So with Ciolo, you guys can improve all the three without the trade-off. And basically, the value is to provide very simple, easy to use solution to connect third parties and employees to critical environments to do their job. That's it. Let's simplify remote privileged access together. We're going to be in RSA. Obviously, we would love to meet you guys. I think that I met some of you, at least according to the list, in Israel a couple of years ago. It was phenomenal. I would love to meet you guys again and also to host you in one of our happy hours in RSA. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present to you guys.
Thank you, Morgan. Sorry for the misunderstanding. I hope you join us and join those amazing companies in our state event in April 2025 in San Francisco. I will send you all my message about the event, what includes the tentative, and we'll be happy to see you guys. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Bye.